The Biden administration's continued effort to thwart the Second Amendment was rolled back some this past week when House Republicans passed a resolution to reverse his regulations on stabilizing braces for pistols. These accessories are often used. There are millions of them out there, but they're used by disabled veterans even. But the previous rule by the administration categorized any pistol brace as a short-barreled rifle that would require a federal license. Well, joining me now to discuss this is Congressman Andrew Clyde. He's the one who introduced the resolution. He serves on the powerful Appropriations Committee and represents Georgia's 9th Congressional District. Congressman Clyde, great to see you. Welcome back to Washington Watch.
Well, thank you, Jody. It's great to be with you, my friend, as always.
Well, listen, you introduced this really important legislation. Why is it so significant, particularly in light of the fact of the reality this is not going to be passed by the president, but what makes this so important?
Well, first, this pistol brace ban rule that ATF came out with, categorizing or redefining, actually, a pistol with a stabilizing brace as a short-barreled rifle, subject to the draconian regulations of the National Firearms Act of 1934. That would have put millions of law-abiding citizens into the category of felons unless they registered their pistol brace firearm as a short-barreled rifle. And most folks refuse to do that because they don't want to be on ATF's list. And also, the ATF does not have the authority to do that. That would be creating new law. And as we know, Congress makes laws, not the executive branch. So it's a violation of the separation of powers. But the biggest and most critical thing about passing this bill in the House to strike down ATF's rule, stabilizing brace rule, is that it sends a phenomenally strong message to the nation and to the court system that this is not the will of Congress. And I'm proud to tell you on this show that I've spoken with Senator Kennedy in the Senate, and this is going to come up for a vote in the Senate on Wednesday. So once the Senate passes it on Wednesday, with the Senate and the House having passed this resolution, the courts have a very clear message to the will of Congress on this issue. And the courts listen to Congress. That message is important.
Well, what most people don't know, not aware of, and if you can go here, I'd really like for you to, if you can, a little bit, but and no pun intended here, the congressional baseball game took place this past week where you actually scored a run. Way to go. The Republicans won. But with this particular topic of the pistol braces and so forth, a little inside baseball, if you will. It took some effort to get this bill even to get to a vote. I mean, it was quite an ordeal battling to get this thing for a vote. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, it was. And indeed, the Republicans did win the baseball game 16-6, the third year in a row. So a little inside baseball on the pistol brace rule was that, there are some very moderate Democrats that think that voting for this may hurt them in their districts. But this, as you mentioned earlier, is about providing care for our service-disabled veterans so that they can exercise their constitutional rights. Because the pistol brace was originally designed for service-disabled veterans back in 2012 when it was fully approved by ATF, and not restricted. But so there was a bit of a battle with leadership, and it came about during the debt ceiling fight where I was called and told that this legislation may not come to the floor if I vote against the rule in the debt ceiling fight. And I said, well, if that's the case, then take my name off the bill. The bill is that important. If it's about me, don't make it about me. Make it about the country and about our providing care for our veterans and for Americans with disabilities and those people that need to use a pistol brace. And so we eventually worked through that. It came to the floor on Tuesday of this week, and it passed 219 to 210, a great victory, a bipartisan victory, too. We had two Democrats vote with us. So a bipartisan victory for the House.
Well, congratulations on that. And listen, you mentioned this a while ago, but it is true even if it were to pass the Senate, and that will be an uphill battle, I'm sure, to some extent anyways. But even if it does, the president says he's going to veto this. But despite all of that, this is still extremely significant, you mentioned, because the message this will send to the judiciary. So assuming with that, I would assume that what you're saying is this would probably face a legal challenge if it were to pass?
There are multiple legal challenges right now in the court system over ATF's pistol brace rule. In fact, there are a number of preliminary injunctions as well. And so this, having Congress pass this, sends a message to those court systems to make those preliminary injunctions into permanent injunctions against this rule, because the rule is violating the separation of powers in Congress. ATF does not have the authority to redefine a definition and create new law, especially law with criminal penalties of federal felonies, 10 years in jail, $250,000 fine. That's simply not within their authority.
Well, Congressman Andrew Clyde, I want to thank you again for your incredible stance on this and your courage to vote against the rule and to stand for the principles that people sent you there to stand for. And we're honored to have you this evening on Washington Watch. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Jody. Always great to be with you.